All right, Cleveland Browns lose 21-15 to the New York Football Giants. Both teams move to 1-2 on the season. I am absolutely ecstatic that game is over, but with that all being said, now I get to come on here and talk about everything we just saw. So yeah, you get one thing out of the way and right into another thing. MZC cooked. Yeah, are they cooked? It's week 3. It's a long season. There's a lot of football games to be played, but through 3 weeks of football, have you seen anything that has been spectacular? Have you seen anything that has excited you? Have you seen anything where you just point at the TV and you're like, yep, good football, elite football team, really, really good. Like, wow, we could really go the whole way. Maybe the defense a little bit. Maybe some of the special teams last week and maybe some of the defensive plays at the end of the second week game against the Jaguars. A lot of that gets erased today because pitiful performance from the Browns defense. The New York Giants offense has one player who's relevant out of everybody. And I know they have they have Devin Singletary, they have, some tertiary wide receivers. Nope, it's just Malik Neighbors. The offense is really just predicated on getting the ball to him. That's the only thing you have to game plan for. I don't know what Jim Schwartz was doing all week. What were the practices? What were the walkthroughs? What were we watching? What were we getting ready to guard? Because we couldn't guard Malik Neighbors all game. I know he should be a premier football player in the National Football League, especially at the wide receiver position, but he's still a rookie, guys. And his quarterback throwing to him is not that good. He had 17 completions in the first half, Daniel Jones. Most first half completions in his career, I believe the broadcast said. That is completely unacceptable. That is an egregious performance from the Cleveland Browns defense. It really felt like the secondary was discombobulated, and honestly, there were some good individual plays being made, but there was a lot of miscommunication. I felt like I know that the Schwartz defense and a lot of Stefanski's, teams, they don't do the whole shadowing and this and that. But why don't you have Denzel Ward on him the whole game? Like Newsome, he's cooking up Martin Emerson. He cooked up Newsome. Newsome, by the way, terrible today. Newsome, terrible. Offensive line, terrible. Defensive line, not very good. Deshaun Watson, not very good. The wide receiving core outside of Amari Cooper, basically irrelevant. The running game, not very good. And you have three offensive linemen get hurt. And Conklin, of course, is inactive. Conklin will be inactive for the rest of the season. So I'm not even going to look at our injury report this week. Guy's made of glass. Not his fault. He's had a good career with us here at Cleveland. Not trying to degrade anybody here, but Newsome costs you a whole offensive possession, a turnover, doing some stupid shit that I don't even care if it was a penalty or not. I really don't even care. They're going to call it. It's 2024. You can't hit the quarterback up here. It was after the ball was thrown. It had nothing to do with the play. The interception was happening either way if he did it or not. It's not like it altered the play or anything. However, play stupid games, win stupid prizes, and your stupid prize this week is you lost to the New York Giants. Congratulations. And the clowning will commence. It'll be another week of clowning. It'll be another week of memery. It'll be another week of Deshaun Watson should retire. It'll be another week of this, that, and the other. But it's anybody can beat anybody in this league. The Minnesota Vikings are 3-0 with Sam Darnold. So you know what? It's 1 week at a time. We're not confident though. Is anything, you could have an outlook and we could have an in look now. The outlook is you're 3 weeks in. You have 2 other teams in the AFC North that have 2 losses already. The only way that, we're going to be the craziest part, and I could be misstating here because of AFC games, but we have one AFC win and we have 2 NFC losses. So we've won our AFC game. We are 1-2. I believe the worst we could be is tied for second after today, correct? If the Bengals win and the Ravens win, they're both going to be 1-2, and we have an AFC win. And we could be 3 teams at 1-2, and of course the Steelers are 3-0. Obviously, here's the thing about that: they have to win these early games. I'm not, you know what? Until they do something in the playoffs, they're going to be perennial fraudulent, fraudsters to me, because they have to. They have to win these first 3 games. They're subpar opponents. They should be better than most of these teams. Yeah, they had to go on the road. Obviously it's going to be respectable and commendable if you start the season off 3-0. No one's going to discredit it totally, but the last 8, 9, 10 games of their schedule are all very losable to them. So if they didn't start off this good, their playoff hopes would have already been out the window, as is some teams, if you start 0-2 and 0-3. Stefanski can't call an RPO spread offense. Let Dorsey call plays. Stefanski completely abandoned the run. Defense played so much zone. I thought Joe Woods was back at DC. Dion, I've seen a couple of plays. I've seen a couple of defensive schemes from this team where, yeah, it kind of does look like Joe Woods is back out there. But just talk about a roller coaster. A team, just absolutely. Sometimes I'm emotionless watching this game, and sometimes I'm jumping up watching this team, and sometimes I'm jumping up and down. We had like 60 yards going into half again. I thought that the week 1 performance was like rock bottom of the barrel. There's no way it could get worse than that. The first half against Dallas, and shit, even the second half too. However, they were close today. They almost proved me wrong. I think they might have proved me wrong. That first half might have been worse. Outside of the first play of the game, I've never seen, someone pointed this out on Twitter and it was very accurate. I've never seen a team through the first 3 games, and yes, it's early, small sample size, this team blows away momentum like no other professional sporting team I've ever seen. How do you just put it into this context? And I know this is going to seem like some broad stroke, because it kind of is. You defer, you win the toss, you defer, they fumble the ball, you score on your first play. How do you lose the football game after that? It was 7-0, and we didn't move the ball down the field after that first play. 24-yard strike to Amari Cooper, dime, by the way. And that's another thing. The Watson watching experience is extremely frustrating, because he just is like the whole team is like a roller coaster. The whole team is like bipolar. I don't understand it. Like he looks like trash some plays. He looks terrible. Then he comes out, he throws a strike, he throws a dime. The last play, the 4th down play to Tillman, that was a dime. That should have been a first down. Should have been still driving. Should have had a chance to win the ball game. But how many times does New York have to give you a chance? We are sincerely lucky that we even had opportunities to win this game in the second half. And we were pretty much, it was a good fortune that we were even playing them this week, because there's a lot of other football teams in the National Football League where this game wouldn't even have been close. 35-15, 28-10, something like that, reminiscent of what the final score would be. Ford Tillman to the shadow realm. I mean, just absolute nonsense from some guys down the stretch. I don't really get it. I don't understand how you fumble the handoff to Ford. That was just stupid silliness anyway, off the rip. Tillman can't secure a pass. The wide receiving room is back to being absolutely abysmal. Don't bring any more wide receivers to Cleveland. Just don't do it. Andrew Berry used all of his magic, all of his special dust in the Amari Cooper trade to Dallas, because since then, name somebody who's been good. You can't. You cannot. You give Jerry Jeudy a huge extension. You trade a 2nd-round pick for Elijah Moore. That trade was terrible. That trade was horrible, by the way. 69 rushing yards, 148 passing yards, 3.4 yards per play, which is incredible, because I believe when I checked the box score at halftime, it was like 1.8 yards per play. 16 first downs. Terrible. 3rd down efficiency, 4 of 14. We actually had a similar efficiency to them on 3rd down, which is absolutely unbelievable. 28.5% conversion on 3rd down. That's not going to get the job done. 1 of 3 on 4th down, which we've actually been pretty immaculate from 4th down through 3 games. Like I said, the Tillman drop, not sure what you're supposed to do about that. The play was executed perfectly except for catching the ball. Number 2, the shotgun, the 4th down before that, the shotgun RPO. I don't even know if somebody, if I was in the press conference room, that would be my first question. What was the play supposed to be on the second to last 4th down? was that and Stefanski going, well, quarterback's supposed to read that, whatever he's supposed to say, but nothing went right there. Was he supposed to get rid of the ball? Was he supposed to hand it off? I get it. It's probably up to his discretion, but what all game has led you to believe that was going to be a competent play call on 4th and 1, and the 3rd and 1 was so messed up anyway, because how many times have you practiced a 3rd and 1 sneak with Winston as your quarterback with 3 backup linemen? How many times do they do that during the week? Never. They never do it. That's why it looked like crap. That's why Winston was lucky to actually get back to the line of scrimmage. He kind of saved that 3rd down play because he was going back 2 or 3 yards and somehow fought his way back to the line of scrimmage. So that was egregious. You have to know these things though. Like Stefanski, I feel bad for you, but I also don't, because you need to know that, like, you have this mishmash line you got Batonio playing out of position, Teller's hurt, Jed isn't very good when he's healthy. Jed had a couple of head scratching plays today, lets one guy go by him to pick up another assignment, lets that guy go by him. He lets 2 guys go unblocked in the same play. Dwan Jones, he's hit or miss. They're all hit or miss up front. Conklin's not healthy. It's not a cohesive unit. It hasn't been all year. And that's just the reality of the situation. I mean, we run 63 total plays, 8 sacks allowed, which is actually incredible because I believe that 5 or 6 of them were allowed before the offensive line got all messed up, but 8 sacks allowed. I was looking in the second quarter for the most sacks given up in a single game by a team, the most recorded sacks by a team in a single game. And the Philadelphia Eagles, I think they were called the Philadelphia Eagles, in 1952 had 14 game sacks. And there was a point in the third quarter where I thought that record might be in jeopardy. They actually kept Watson upright in the pocket, and he did a lot of scrambling in the second half for the most part, as far as the second half went. But the first 2 quarters, egregious football, no time in the pocket for Watson. And when he had time, he couldn't do anything with the football, not even looking downfield. Even that last drive, he's like looking to Amari Cooper every play. Like, that's just how abysmal that this wide receiving group has been. If the first read is to Cooper and that's the only thing he's looking at. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of tough to defend him when he has time with the football, he doesn't do anything. Like, the first play of the game is an absolute dime. The second touchdown to Amari Cooper is an absolute dime. You had some good plays down that left. Watson and Cooper love that down the left-hand sideline of the field, when they can actually connect on plays. But besides that, it's a nothing burger. You have nothing from your tight end. You really have nothing from your running back. 69 rushing yards. Nick Chubb gets 69 rushing yards in one drive sometimes. He'll in multiple runs. It doesn't even have to be a big run. It'll be a six play drive and Chubb has 70 yards. How many times have you seen it? Happens a lot. Wide receiver coach O'Shea needs to be fired after this year. How about after this game? You're 1-2 and your next 3 games are on the road, and you have to win 3 out of these first 5 games, because then you actually start playing real teams. You actually start playing teams who are going to compete this year. You play the Philadelphia Eagles. You play, I believe, a divisional game. I could be wrong, but after week 5, you start playing some teams that are actually maybe semi-competent football teams. And I promise you, the New York Football Giants are not a competent football team. They tried to give us the game multiple times in the fourth quarter, in the second half. The Jacksonville Jaguars are 0-7 in their last 7 games. I'm not going to be a Debbie Downer after a win. Not me. It's tough to win the National Football League. We've gone full seasons without watching the Browns win a game. I'm the last person who's going to be a Debbie Downer after a win. Sorry. It's just too difficult. It's too tough to go out there and win football games, especially on the road. But they're 0-7 in their last 7 games. Has that instilled confidence in you that we beat them and that was a close game? We gave them an opportunity to win, and Dallas smoked us week 1, and then they didn't really look too good in week 2. We'll get to see what the Ravens do to them here. They're just kicking off right now. Interesting game to watch, but if the Ravens beat them, you're like, all right, is Dallas that good? Is Dallas, their regular season warriors? We get their playoff rods. I get it, but it's like, are they a top 5-10 team in the league? Top 5, probably not. It's always something with this team, man. It's always something with this franchise, just complete and utter garbage for 90% of the game today. And, even you try to save face with some of these stat lines. Watson, 21 to 37 for 196 yards and 2 touchdowns. Ford, 10 carries for 37 yards. Holy snooze fest. Watson, 4 carries for 26 yards. He probably could have done more. He probably could have did more than that. In all honesty, Foreman, like that. This is what kills me. This is what kills me. And yes, Dion, correct. No Foreman. Why? He should be our first, second down running back. Ford is a third down back. I don't know if the coaching staff is just like messing around, or if they have some sort of master plan going on in their mind, but this looked like the week 1 offense. I swear, the first and the third week looked similar. Last week did not look like this. You can't tell me that there's a consistent play calling presence if Foreman gets a start last week and then he gets 2 carries this week. How does that even make sense from a coaching standpoint, from an offensive philosophy standpoint? That makes no sense. That is egregious. I'm not even. Who's calling the plays? Is Ken Dorsey calling the plays? Is Ken Dorsey calling the plays last week, or is Ken Dorsey calling the plays in weeks 1 and 3, or is Stefanski calling the plays last week? I don't know what's going on. And like I said, what is Schwartz doing? You can't game plan for their best player. I don't know what to tell you. I don't have any excuses for you. I don't have any help for you. Where's Mike Vrabel? Mike Vrabel should be on the sidelines. Oh, he's not going to be typical. Most Browns thing ever. Acquire this highly coveted, sought after asset in the coaching market, in my opinion. And he's not even involved in the game day. He's not even going to be involved in game day. We're going to put him in this cushy advisor role. And maybe that's all he wanted. If that's all he wanted, you're not going to be able to convince the guy to do more. And I get that. If that's how their hands are tied, I get it. Why isn't he on the field? Why doesn't he have a headset on game days? It's Mike Vrabel. Why not? You don't think Jim Schwartz wants more assets around him to help him call a defensive game plan? Like I said, you're not going to know the situation there. You're never going to understand it. They're never going to tell you because they don't tell you anything in this organization. Cooper heard the noise. Pretty much the only offensive player who played good. Jerome Ford, 3 receptions. Okay. Akins, 4 receptions for 29 yards. Not very good. Is Njoku winning us this football game? Probably not. I don't think he is, but it's a lot more potent of an offense than 29 yards from Jordan Akins. Jerry Jeudy, 4 receptions for 27 yards. 4 receptions for 27 yards. What kind of extension did we give him? Jerry Jeudy contract extension. I can't wait for this number. I already forgot. 3 years, $52.5 million. 19 million this year is his salary. 16 million base in 2025 for 27 yards. I mean, does he even have triple-digit receiving yards on the season? Jerry Jeudy 2024 stats. We're 3 games in here, folks. I hope you could get 30, 35 yards a game. 8 receptions, 2024 stats. Hold on. We're going to ESPN. Don't hang up the phone. 2024 stats. 8 receptions. I can't even talk. 8 receptions, 98 yards, and 1 touchdown. Amazing. Glad that we extended him. Glad that we traded for him too, even though, pull the wool over our eyes. Looks like a good offseason move. Bring more wide receiver talent in here. Watson surrounded by weapons. Yeah. So life we live. As Browns fans. Mike Vrabel might need to take over for Stefanski. AB needs to push the red button. That's probably why they bring Vrabel into the fold. Or at least that's probably why Vrabel is like thinking of even joining us. Like, hey, Jim Schwartz doesn't want to be, probably whisper in his ear, hey, Jim Schwartz, he has no desire of being a head coach again. Doesn't want the responsibility. That's totally understandable. Jim Schwartz has been in the league for a long time. But there's your opportunity. If Stefanski, were to get fired, he's not going to get fired. I hate to break it to people, and I hate to break it to you, Dion. He's 2-time Coach of the Year award winner. He's not going to get fired. They will do everything else before firing that. He just got an extension, actually. So that's 0, like never say never, but probably close to a 0% chance that's going to happen, in my opinion. And Andrew Berry's job is obviously completely safe to me. They're going to scapegoat the players. They're going to scapegoat the tertiary coaches, the wide receiver coach, the new offensive line coach, Deuce Staley. It's another thing too, like, for how much like Cleveland media is negative and even the independent side, and I get it, there's been a lot to be negative about since 1999. I get if you've been covering this team since they came back since 99, I get if you're sour. Totally understand it. I'm not saying you're right, but I'm not saying I could blame you. But with that being said, on the flip side, a lot of, we have a narrative generating machine, and I'm sure every franchise has it. I'm sure that every local reporter base is similar, but Deuce Staley is going to bring a new scheme, and he's going to bring a new hard-nosed method of football to this. Where? 3 weeks. I haven't seen it. I forgot it even existed until they might have showed him on the sideline, or they show him in the pregame. Oh, Deuce Staley this, Deuce Staley that. Where? I haven't seen anything. And I'm going to say this real clear. I'm going to be very clear here. And a lot of people aren't going to like this. And I'm glad, because you guys are entitled to your own opinion. At this current moment, I wouldn't even send Nick Chubb out there. I wouldn't even put him behind this line. That would be doing a disservice to him. That would be doing a disservice to his football career, his football future, and his future as a human being. This line is ass. This offensive line is terrible. Has to be one of the worst in the league, performance-wise. I don't care about on paper and all this and that. This is the same guys we've been using for the last 5 years, if not longer. Teller, hopefully Conklin's healthy, Bitonio, Posich. And I get it. A lot of these guys have had good football careers. In the grand scheme of things, you take a step back, they're just not good anymore. They haven't been. I don't know if it's Callahan. I don't know if it's age. Bitonio's getting a little bit older. Teller's getting a little bit older. We know Conklin is, he can't even play. And Wills, we know that Wills is the cursed Andrew Berry draft pick when Tristan Wirfs was readily available. You can't do take backsies, but we could talk about that. We could belabor that point all we want when Tristan Wirfs was staring you in the eyes, and he's probably going to be a Hall of Fame offensive lineman. And, Jedrick Wills can't even, pick up an assignment. But just kind of a normal Sunday, kind of a normal-ish Sunday for the Browns. Give you a little hope, give you a chance to maybe be a little bit excited. I will say what's embarrassing though. It's startling through 3 weeks how really, really bad we are at home. I think that you're never going to be able to quantify this next statement I'm going to make, but I just think they're a little bit nervous. I think that this locker room does feel pressure from a lot of outside noise, and a lot of that has been brought to the city by the quarterback. You can't dispute that. You can't argue that one way or the other. I think that that's apparent. I think that that's a fact. Regardless of your opinions on him, and regardless of who you think he is on the field, who you think he is off the field, this locker room, I think, is feeling under the pressure. The fans have booed in both home games. And usually I'm not a fan of that. I'm not usually a fan of the boos, but the older I get, the more justified I believe them to be. Tickets aren't cheap. Getting down to the stadium isn't simple. The concessions are not free. The diehard fan base just doesn't show up and loaf around and hang out and root for the team. It's a football city. People who don't live in Cleveland, people who don't grow up in Cleveland, they don't understand. Like the Cavs, 2016, 3-1. Yeah, that parade was epic. Probably the best championship parade in all pro sports since 2016. A Browns Super Bowl parade, they would like the governor would have to bring in the National Guard. He would. The sitting president might have to deploy the United States National Guard. Because that's how insane it would be. The Guardians, good for them, repping them today. Thank God we have them over here. Good. Love them. Going to the playoffs, won the division, stable franchise. Absolutely. Have been for years, have been for over a decade. The Browns, just not that. They haven't been. 2 playoff appearances since 2020, 1 playoff win, a very riveting second round game against the Kansas City Chiefs where you couldn't beat Chad Henne for most of the game. And, we could talk about it all day. We could, the Steelers, when's the last time they've won a playoff game, which is true. Lamar, playoff loser. So, him too, we know that the media is going to run every cover in the book for Joe Burrow. I've never seen anybody get more positive praise for making one Super Bowl and then doing nothing after, in a long time. And probably, all of my life watching sports, I've never seen positive coverage be portrayed like Joe Burrow has gotten these past couple of years. But it's neither here nor there. It's really not. It's week 3. You play like crap this week. You played like crap week 1, and you played very averagely week 2. Should you have won this game? Absolutely, you should have won this game. Should you have won the Dallas game? It should have been competitive. You should at least put up a fight at home. And I don't get it. They just look better on the road. They did. No pressure. They don't think the fans are going to boo them. The execution just seemed a little bit better. It seemed like everyone was playing a little bit looser. It wasn't elite football, like I've said, like I've talked about time and time again on this live broadcast. But at the end of the day, it is what it is. You're 1-2. You are. Stefanski's good after a loss. That's all I could tell you. Stefanski's good after a loss. That's pretty much the only bright side of this whole organization right now. Stefanski's really good after a loss. Let's check out the upcoming schedule. Let's do it. I know. I get it. I know you don't want to think about it. You don't want to talk about it. You really don't want to, think about Browns football for, another 6 days. And I understand you. I'm there too. But you can't avoid Twitter. Well, you can. I guess you can shut your phone off. You shut the radio off. But, you're not going to avoid the memery, the tomfoolery, this and that, the whole arguing, every week. That's another thing too. Week 1 aside, like, can we just agree as a collective, like as a fan base, that just everybody was trash today? Like, I'll give a game ball to Amari Cooper. And does anyone else have any suggestions? I certainly don't. I don't think so. Amari Cooper with the only game ball. Maybe Hicks again. He played okay. JOK played okay. Bajorquez, I'm not good enough to give game balls out though. No, not really. Probably just Cooper. Sunday, September 29th, 4:25 p.m. Cleveland Browns at the Las Vegas Raiders. Not a good football team. Are the Las Vegas Raiders going to be in contention to win the Super Bowl this year? Newsflash, they're not. Jordan Hicks, Dion. Yeah, I know. He played good. He's been a good acquisition. Our linebacking room has been just, I'll be the first one to admit it. I was a little nervous about our linebacking room. I said that they were probably going to take a step back. I was wrong. They've played pretty good this year. I'll give it to them. Him and JOK. Yeah, they've been serviceable, above average. October 6th, Browns at Commanders, another unserious football team, but it's kind of tough to say that when we look kind of unserious ourselves. And then you start playing teams who are, a little bit serious. You're on the road in Philadelphia, October 13th. You finally get home against Cincinnati, and we know their history with them. We know, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You have to play the football games. Then you're at home for the Ravens. I will be in attendance at that game. Should be good. I'm sure my blood pressure will be low. I'm sure that I'll have a great time. I'm sure I won't get upset at all during that game. And then you're at home for a third straight week in the first week of November against the Chargers, who, they always play us good. It's tough to look at games on the schedule and be like, yep, that's a win, especially after we've played through 3 weeks. So, yeah, appreciate everyone for being here. If you're on YouTube, hit that like button. If you're on Twitter, hit that like button. Make sure you repost, retweet, reshare, rejuvenate. That's what I'll say. Rejuvenate after this game. I know it's 3 hours of absolute nonsense that you have to watch, and we put up with it every week. We'll be back next week, and we'll be back during the week, and we'll be back with uploads. We'll be back with shorts. We'll be back with commentary. We'll be back with tweets. We'll be back with video clips. We'll be back with opinions, and that's all we could do at this point. Disappointing football game, 21-15. The Browns lose. At least we have each other. At least we have the fan base. At least we have the fandom. And yeah, we appreciate you being the pulse of it all.